So we got the Marlins and Reds getting ready to start their fourth game of the series here. The Marlins just absolutely blowing up in the last innings, last game, allowing the Reds to score three in the ninth with 2 outs to be able to take the game in the 10th, scoring 2. And Marlins pitching is just absolutely responsible for giving up so much of what's been otherwise a great pitching by the starters for Florida. So really no rhyme or reason to what's been happening here. It's just been type of ball games that the Florida Marlins have just jumped out in front of, and the Reds utilizing their grit and their heart to just come back and just mercilessly stick the dagger right in the hearts of the Florida Marlins and the entire Marlin Nation time and time again. So it looks like the Marlins, usually you can expect them to try any kind of tactic for any kind of advantage, because going straight up is just never a good idea for them. So they've moved the actual last game to old Joe Robbie Stadium. You're going to try and see if maybe that's the answer. It couldn't possibly be manager Talavera's fault or the bullpen or even Edwin Diaz himself. It must be where they're playing. So as a result, we're about 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away from what has been their home park. But when you see a team just get up and move into a new facility, then you can pretty much ask the next question, which is who is absolutely driving this team nuts to force them to uproot themselves? And I think the answer to that is the Cincinnati Reds. Love you too, Papi. And a war of words has become a war of bullpens, and the Reds taking the better of that matchup. The Reds go ahead and win today. They will have won 6 of the 7 meetings between these two ball clubs. Nothing without a doubt. One cannot question that gameplay supremacy absolutely in manager Alejandro's corner for the time being. Looking to put a stamp on that right now. So today we're going to have Derek Holland facing off against Chris Paddock. Paddock a 14-2 versus Holland's 4-2 record. Of course, Holland coming out of the bullpen. And looks like the one guy who successfully did run away and hide from the Cincinnati Reds better than the manager Talavera was Steven Strasburg, who did not face at all, not one time, against the Reds. They're definitely hiding him because they want him to win the Cy Young, and I guess in Florida that's what matters. So we're getting ready to get started here. D. Gordon batting .364 with 92 stolen bases up to bat.
D. Gordon. That's a ball.
It takes a ball 1 to get us started here. So Marlins pitching absolutely had their way with the Reds most of the game, except for when it mattered with the changeup. We'll see if they do something similar here. This is going to drop in for another base hit for D. Gordon, who's just been on fire lately. Marlins have no answers for him.
Batting second here tonight.
And Gordon always a base stealing threat.
Justin Upton.
And the ball outside. I don't know if D. Gordon's going to be going anywhere. And this is a pop-up to the first base side. Marwin under it for out number 1. Marlin a little too eager to do nothing as the out's already been made.
Fielder, J.D. Martinez.
And a curveball outside for strike for ball one. And J.D. pops one up, playable for the right fielder, Yordan Alvarez, for out number 2.
Batting fourth.
So next up is Vladimir Guerrero.
Vladimir Guerrero.
And Guerrero into the gap. Going to take a good play by Lindor. Got plenty of range for the third out. D. Gordon was on the move, but that was negated. Looked like a hit and run. The Marlins get 3 outs, and we have a 0-0 ball game.
Leading off for the Marlins, center fielder Ian Happ.
So we got Holland pitching for the Reds. He's excited about, making it into the starting rotation for the Reds. Was their savior out of the bullpen for quite some time. Had a little bit of a hard time making the transition, but I think that the last game that he pitched in, he was very dominant. Really felt like he turned a corner, and I was excited to start today and try and hand the Marlins their 6th loss in 7 tries against the Cincinnati Reds. And Lindor fouls one back. And I think you might see someone moving here, possibly.
You got 2 balls, 1 strike.
Keeping a close eye here on Happ. And the runner goes. Cervelli with the throw. Wide to Gordon's right. So Happ gets in with his stolen base easy. 3 balls and 1 strike. And the go back and forth enough from the second base runner to
Second baseman.
force Trey Turner into not throwing it to first. So we have man on first and second with no outs. The throw is on time at third, and the Marlins getting a little bit greedy here, and they get the first out at third base. You never want the first or last out at third. Somebody might want to send an email to manager Talavera. And the Marlins strike first here as Baez singles into center field for RBI single.
Batting fourth, left fielder Juan Soto.
And Soto completely fooled by that knuckle curve. And when you've been coming back on a team, let me tell you what happens as often as you do when it comes to the Reds and the Marlins. These first couple of runs here in the first inning have a way of really just not registering. It just is not really a threat. You get the absolute confidence that the Marlins are going to give it right back at some point or another. And so you sort of, as a ball club, bunker down and just kind of worry about the here and now. Don't really get deflated or discouraged because you know their bullpen is absolute crap. And Arenado with a slow grounder, Guerrero able to get on his horse and make the throw to first, and the Reds get out of the first, only giving up 1 run. So after 1, it's Florida Marlins 1, Reds 0.
Leading off for the Reds, shortstop Trey Turner.
And Turner, a lazy fly ball to right field. Alvarez no problem for out number 1.
Batting sixth, first baseman.
Pete Alonso
Alfonso.
would love to get things going here. Takes a 4-seamer down low for strike number 1. And the next pitch is inside fastball for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. And next pitch is so 3 fastballs, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And a curveball out in front, not taken by Alonso. Alonso able to foul back a changeup, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And it's now a full count. And a screamer of a ground ball to third base. Arenado has been just flashing some good leather in the last couple of games for out number 2. And Rosario up the middle. Should be an easy play for Baez. Throws the first for out number 3. So the Marlins get out of the first half of the second inning unscathed, still nursing a 1-0 lead. Next up is Yordan Alvarez.
Right fielder, Jordan Alvarez.
Holland behind 1-0. And this is a ball hit into the gap. Should be a double. Easy for Yordan. And the Marlins looking to add to that lead. It's a familiar point in the game where the Marlins bats are alive and well. Again, it's just their bullpen that's just been absolutely terrible over the last 7 games against the Cincinnati Reds. And this time, Guerrero's not fooled, and the throw is made, 1 out. And that's exactly what Trey Turner should have done. He kind of held on to the ball, thought about it a little bit too long, and next thing you know, there's 2 on base and nobody out. Ramirez, easy fly ball, throws it to third. He's got a great arm. He's been underestimated one too many times, so I don't think he's no longer a secret in right field. A lot of people in the league during the draft had a bit of a chuckle when they saw that JD was going to play right field in the National League. And he's been proving some people wrong with his relatively good play there in right field. Has been throwing people out, making some great plays, some home run stealing catches. So we'll have to see how the rest of the season plays out. But so far so good for JD in right field. This ball's fouled back to the right-hand side. And that's the curveball is no take from Cervelli, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And another curveball is just, whatever he's trying to do with that curveball is just not working. Might be trying to set you up. And Cervelli able to stay back on it. This could be a problem, but it's just foul. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Cervelli rips one up the middle. Lindor at the right place. Throws it to first at the right time for a quick out. And we have 1 out with the pitcher coming up to bat. No balls and 1 strike. And a slow grounder. Catcher's going to have to make a good throw, and not really any kind of problem at all. Throws out Holland for out number 2. So D. Gordon now up to bat. Thinks about a changeup, takes it for a strike anyways. And then a fastball outside for a ball. 1 ball and a 1 strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. Paddock working at a fast clip.
Nope.
3 balls and 1 strike. You don't want this guy on base. Let's see what Paddock does. And he does walk him. So with 2 outs, Gordon takes the first base. And Justin Upton not really doing much lately.
Justin Upton.
And a fastball inside for a ball. And Gordon takes off for second base, and he's there on time. Stolen base, 2 balls and no strikes. And Upton with a fly ball. This should be catchable. Caught by Baez for the 3rd out. So the Reds do get someone on base, but not able to do much with him. Here in the bottom of the 3rd, it's Florida Marlins 1, Reds 0. Oh, and a beautiful play by Gordon. Knocks it down, but not able to get the throw in first. This could be trouble. Marlins, a very prolific scoring ball club, wants to get that leadoff guy on base. And caught deceptively quick moves by Guerrero to catch that fly ball. 1 out now on first for the Marlins.
Yep, that ball went out.
And this could be a double play. Gordon to first. And the Reds with an inning-ending double play. That's the kind of momentum you want to build whenever you get a turn to bat. Let's see what J.D. Martinez does that here in the 4th inning. And the Marlins, you can tell they'll do just about anything and try and get a win here. I mean, we're playing in a football stadium, for Pete's sake, if that doesn't tell you something. You gotta give them effort for trying. You know. And this is a lazy grounder to second base. Baez, routine play for him. Out number 1.
Third baseman.
And we got Vladimir Guerrero coming up to bat. And he chops one to second base. Not showing a lot of patience. Baez to Gonzalez for out number 2.
Now batting, shortstop.
So we got Trey Turner now. And he gets one down the right side, but just foul. No balls and 1 strike. And another changeup just absolutely freezes him. It just seems like you can throw as many changeups as you want to Reds hitters. They're going to try and swing at it. Like that one right there. That had absolutely, could have been a curveball, but you just could tell that Trey Turner was going to swing at that ball. And midway through the 4, it's 1-0 Marlins, holding a decisive lead with the hits so far at 5-1, 1-0 in the ball game. So Juan Soto now, the Marlins would like nothing more than to build on their lead. God knows they need it. So one thing we've learned about the Marlins as of late is that they need at least 4 runs. You can say now, at least 4-run lead in the 9th. Because throughout this series, 1-run lead hasn't worked, 2-run hasn't worked. Yesterday, a 3-run lead didn't work. So maybe they need 4 runs. Maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But Soto swings for strike 2. And Holland almost gets him there. Soto just totally mystified at the knuckle curve by Holland. And able to get a base hit into right field is Soto. So for the second inning in a row, the Marlins have their leadoff guy on base. So Arenado with a hit into the gap. I don't know if they're going to try and score this. Almost got stuck in the bases. He would have scored. But of course the Marlins not very prolific on the base paths, but second and third with no outs. It's got to feel good for the Florida Marlins.
Inside, ball one. That's Bolton.
Strike one for Alvarez. A nasty sinker gets Alvarez swinging. Could say he was fishing. And they hit into the gap. This will score two. Alvarez will think about second, but holds back at first. And the Marlins once again have a 3-0 lead here early in the ball game.
Now batting, first baseman.
So even as I tell you that the Reds really could care less about the Marlins being out ahead early in the game, still, no outs here in the fourth. I know the defense is ready to back you up, Holland, but they also want to get off the field at a reasonable time here. So Holland definitely showing some concerns here early in the ball game. Is able to get a ground out here for out number 2.
Now batting, catcher.
So next up is Carson Kelly. And he swings and fouls back a slider for the first pitch. No balls and 1 strike. And Carson Kelly to second base. Beautiful play by D. Gordon, gets the Reds out of the inning. Or so you thought. No, it's actually only 2 outs. So the Reds definitely not even paying attention to how many outs there are. That could have came back and got them real quick. But lucky for Holland, it's just the pitcher on deck. Now up to bat. Able to hold back on that one. 1 ball and 1 strike. So here's where the Reds really have to start chipping away at this lead. Paddock nowhere near that knuckle curve. And D. Gordon able to make a quick play to his left for out number 3. So the Marlins score 3 here as we end the 4th inning. A mammoth 8-1 advantage in the hit column. But in the column that counts, 3 runs to 0 for the Florida Marlins. Coming up to bat is Peter Alonso.
First baseman, Peter Alfonso.
Takes the first pitch, 2-seamer for a ball. So I think the Reds, even though they're absolutely confident that they're going to come back against the Marlins, they're just not happy with the fact that that they're not getting out in front of ball clubs, and that they're they're having to muster all this energy all the time to make improbable comebacks happen. I'm happy to do it, but I know that they're actively working on doing the things early in the game, both in pitching and hitting, to not always be playing while trailing.
Now batting, catcher, Francisco Cervelli.
So Cervelli now trying to keep the inning going. And he takes a curveball high in the strike zone for strike 1. And Cervelli looks like he's timing that curveball pretty well. So if I was Paddock, I would think things over again. Looks like he's going to do just that. And this is a deep fly ball to center field, but plenty of room for Happ. Has no trouble making the catch to end the inning. So midway through 5, it's Miami 3, Cincinnati 0.
Leading off for the Marlins, center fielder
Ian Happ swings at dog food, and behind. No balls on 1 strike. He lines out to D. Gordon. It makes every play look pretty routine, even though that was a quite difficult play to make. So it's going to be up to Francisco Lindor here. He swings and misses at a changeup for strike 1. And another base hit to center field. The Marlins definitely doing their share of hitting today. Maybe coming out here to this dump is what the doctor ordered for them, because certainly it changes things up for the Reds. The Marlins practice here quite regularly. They say that there's quite a prolific drug presence. And this is a throw second, might be on time, but on that drop ball, the runner's able to advance. There's a very big crack cocaine presence right around the corner from this stadium. A lot of the Marlins players have been known to frequent that area, so it makes sense how they would have a familiarity to this stadium. And as I talk about that, a 2-run shot deep to left field by Baez just kind of shuts the Cincinnati Reds and their announcer right up in their mouths. And the Reds looking at the heftier lead that the Marlins might turn out to need. And so far, Javier Baez gives the Marlins a 5-0 lead here in the 5th inning. Now they're keeping Holland in the ball game. It's going to take a lot of work now for the Reds. They're up to the task. But it looks like the slow stuff is not fooling Marlins hitting any longer. And Upton comes in to make the out. And believe it or not, that's only the 2nd out here. Arenado now looking to keep things going. And and to the floor is Upton, so Arenado's able to sneak into second. If he doesn't fall down, it's probably a single. But Upton, I think he just had a little bit of too aggressive initially to the fly ball. And that's why he lost his footing. And the knuckle curve high and inside for strike 1. And that ball's outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. And Alvarez not looking very comfortable up there. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And a strike 3 sinker. The Reds are just happy to get out of this inning. Believe it or not, 5-0 does not tell the story of the game. Could be a lot more.
Leading off for Cincinnati, pitcher Derek Holland.
So it looks like Holland has seen his last pitch today, as the Reds will pinch hit with Albert Pujols.
Holland, number 74, Albert Pujols.
And Pujols grounds out to shortstop quickly for out number 1.
The batter, number 9, second baseman, D. Gordon.
And D. Gordon flies out to left. Foul. Playable, but not on time is Arenado for a foul ball. Outside fastball for strike 1. Reds really need D. Gordon to be that spark plug right now. 5-0 here in the 6th. And he fouls one up. Easy play for Arenado. And there's 2 outs.
The left fielder, number 11, Justin Upton.
Inside fastball, ball 1. And Upton has just been absolutely miserable against Marlins pitching.
I got to count 1 and 2.
And just like that, it's another lost cause inning for the Reds as they're down 5-0 here in the bottom of the 6th. So nothing going right for Cincinnati here, being out hit 11-1. The Marlins have responded with a fury, especially to the last game.
Number 83.
11-1 out hit. Definitely making a statement here. But I got the feeling Cincinnati is not done with the Florida Marlins. I know getting to talk a little bit with manager Salles before the game, and he's just about done with the manager of the Marlins. He went over some key points during the press conference, and it's just a lot of laughs at that press conference at the absurdity of what's been coming out of Florida. But he said, he's all for whatever the playoffs bring, and he's going to fulfill the commitments that the team is obligated to under league rules and conditions. But he said he himself is absolutely done with wanting to play the Marlins, wanting to talk about the Marlins. It's just been an absolute horrid experience here as of late. No real reasons why this sort of behavior had to go unchecked. The Reds, as a very professional ball club will always do, they let most of their talking get done between the lines here in the diamond. I'm not going to count them out, obviously, in this game because, again, they've come back in every single game. So, but looking to get out of here with at least 5 wins out of the 7 meetings this year, if not 6. We'll see what happens today. So I think as it comes to actual gameplay and what the actual players are going to do for you, I think no question Cincinnati has the upper hand. And Guerrero had to reach over to his right, makes a strong throw. He's got a good arm for out number 3. So after 6, it's 5-0 Marlins. If the Reds are going to do anything, it's going to have to be now.
Leading off for the Reds, right fielder,
And J.D. Martinez, another fly ball to right field. So the Marlins just not able to
up next for Cincinnati, third baseman, Vladimir.
get anything going here. Takes a changeup for ball 1. Another changeup, fouls away for strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Guerrero with a nice rip into left center field. And Guerrero's got only the second Cincinnati Reds base hit. But as we all know, all it takes is 1 hit at a time. There's a little blooper, easy play for Marwin for the next out.
Now batting, first baseman, Peter Alonso.
Alfonso taking the bat with no balls and one strike. And this is a blooper. This might have a chance. No, and it is caught by the right fielder. And once again, the Reds look like doors are being shut on them.
Leading off for the Marlins, center fielder
Ian Happ up to bat. The Marlins absolutely a display of hitting here that we have not seen. I mean, we've seen them hit, we've seen them score. We just have not seen them finish the deal. So, as much as you want to be impressed with what they're able to do with their hitting, I mean, they have to finish the job, so to speak. That's really been their biggest problem. So, again, 5 runs, that should be enough. I mean, you're talking about a major league ball club.
Second baseman,
We'll have to see.
Oh, that's out.
So 1 ball and 1 strike. A double play attempt to slide at first in time. So able to steer away from the double play. Now up is Juan Soto. Strike 1, 4-seamer for Juan Soto. No balls and 1 strike.
Outside, that's a ball.
Soto fouls off to the right side. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And able to catch a piece of that. Another foul ball. We'll do it again at 1 ball and 2 strikes. This is a high curveball left in the air. JD under it for the 3rd out. So the Marlins don't score any here, but they hold on to a 5-0 lead here at the end of the 7th. So here we are in the 8th inning.
Leading off for Cincinnati, center fielder.
And this is going to be up the middle. A leadoff hit. That's exactly what the Reds would need if there's something were to get going here. Next up is Francisco Cervelli.
Francisco Cervelli.
And he almost gets one into right field, but it's foul. Another foul ball. And a curveball outside. And this could be a double play. This will go a long way for the Marlins. And they're able to turn it. And it's 2 outs here in the 8th inning. And you can pinch hitter up to bat. It's going to be Aaron Hicks. So switch hitter.
Aaron Hicks.
And Hicks fouls one off to the left side for strike 1. So that's a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Hicks with his shot. Playable for center fielder Happ. And the Marlins have 3 outs. Midway through the 8th, 5-0 Marlins.
Attention, please. Now pitching for the Reds, number 60, Andrew Edwards.
So Edwards getting the nod for the Cincinnati bullpen. Just got called up from Double A. Surprised it was, pretty sure it was a surprise of his life. Definitely said he was expecting to go through Triple A for maybe a year or two. He got the call up and say that he was needed right now. I mean, he was excited. First call he made was to his grandpa. His grandpa had a big influence in his life. Not doing so well. We wish him well. And here he is, recording a strikeout against Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado. Here in South Florida.
Right fielder, Jordan Alvarez.
So I know the Marlins have a 5-0 lead now, and it's just at this point in the game. Last night we were talking about, hey, late game heroics, and my goodness, it came to be. Wouldn't it be something if the Reds were able to pull it off again? I mean, would be the type of thing that would be just right up there on the top of any kind of baseball folklore you would ever hear about. I mean, just the kind of series that has undergone between these two franchises. It's just the kind that you would only think happened sometimes last century. But as Upton catches that ball, it is now the Cincinnati Reds down 5-0 in the ninth. Trying to see if they can do something here, and the first pitch is going to have to be a quick throw from the pitcher. Almost got Gordon on base. You do not want that, but they do get the first out. So that's got to feel good for the Marlins. And especially as Upton gets the next hit. So once again, if the Reds are going to hit on you, it's going to be in the ninth inning. So we got one on base. Paddock's got plenty of stamina. I'm trying to get the shutout. That might be his undoing, ultimately. And a fly ball caught by Lindor. And almost thrown out at first. So here with 2 outs. Got Guerrero. Takes a curveball for strike 1. A curveball for strike 2. And fouls it off to stay alive. And the Reds down to the last strike. Fouls it off. Not wanting to go home just yet. Fly ball to infield. This should do it. And I'll tell you what, the Reds can't wait to get out of Florida. It's been an absolute horrible experience here. The fact that they were able to split the series here almost feels like a series sweep, given some of the hoops they have to jump through. You give any kind of opportunity for the Marlins to sort of try and freeze you out or just sort of cancel you out, just kind of whatever they need to do, they will do, as we saw in this two-series event that the Reds had to go through. But the Reds can go home with their heads held high. Maybe not about today's game, but 7 total games against the Marlins, and they won 5 of them. But today, the Marlins win 5-0 on the strength of Chris Paddock's complete game, only giving up 4 hits to a mighty Cincinnati lineup. Player of the game, no other than Chris Paddock. Baez going 2 for 4 today with a home run and 3 RBIs. Nolan Arenado finally does something against his old club, going 2 for 4. Jordan Alvarez 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs himself. And another multi-hitter, Francisco Lindor, 2 for 4. Derek Holland takes the loss. 5 innings pitched, 11 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned runs, only 2 strikeouts. That kind of a stat line is more than likely going to put you in the loss column on most nights. But this has been Alejandro Salas, the Cincinnati Reds. Thank you for watching. We thank you for your patience through this entire ordeal with the Miami Marlins. We're just happy to get out of here, and as they say, nothing good happens in Florida, so we're happy to get out of here while we're still intact. This has been Cincinnati Reds Baseball. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.